This is NDTV, and you're watching Classics.
If you thought Bangalore's success story was all about IT czars, here is somebody who's writing a new chapter in it, a BT Tsarina. Kiran Mazumdar Shah, the founder of Biocon, also its managing director and chairman. You don't call yourself chairperson.
No, I don't believe in that gender differentiation.
Well, I mean, you've been doing business in a man's world and doing quite all right, I suspect.
Well, I think it's a very exciting field, and really thrilled that we've been able to do something about this sector.
And you started, I believe, just from a garage with
Yeah.
10,000 rupees.
That's right. I mean, I think that's the thrill of creating something like this from nothing,
Right.
And I think the life sciences is one of the most exciting sectors to be in today.
And now 550 crores already.
Absolutely, yes.
And what are we looking at?
Well, we of course aspire to be one of the top 10 biotech companies in the world, and obviously in that kind of a mission, I guess we would like to be a billion-dollar company before this decade is off.
But biotechnology is new business. Not that, it's not something that most of us understand very much about. Tell me, what is this plant? This is a fermentation plant. What happens here?
Well, fermentation is the core technology that biotech is very, very dependent on. To really sort of use very lay speak, what is biotechnology? It's a technology that harnesses living organisms to produce products of commercial importance. And therefore, what this plant at the moment is doing is producing cholesterol-reducing drugs.
Like statins, as
like
they're called?
statins.
Simvastatin and things like that.
Yeah,
commonly people have.
simvastatin, lovastatin,
Right.
pravastatin.
Right.
And then we are also producing, in one of the dedicated fermenters, recombinant human insulin, which is a very, very
Now
important
that I
product.
believe in some ways, yes, you're cutting edge work right now, because a couple of MNCs have the monopoly in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. Novo and Eli Lilly
Right.
really dominate this market.
Right.
And we are trying to sort of enter into this space in a very confident manner. We believe we have a very good globally competitive technology.
Tell me, how does it work? What is recombinant human insulin? How is that different from insulin that people use in general?
Well, generally people in the past have relied very heavily on animal insulins. As you know, insulin is the hormone that is very important for the human body to regulate the sugar metabolism or the glucose metabolism with.
And India has the largest number of diabetics in the world.
Absolutely. We have 1/4 of the world's diabetic population in India.
Right.
And
And some of that is also geographically concentrated in certain pockets or certain areas of India, like maybe Gujarat or...
yes, you're right. I mean, there are certain regions. For instance, the eastern region has a very high level of diabetics.
Right.
The western and southern regions, well, actually India is kind of pretty geographically spread in terms
Right.
of diabetes. As far as human insulin is concerned, the big difference is that in the past we have relied very heavily on animal insulins, that is insulin extracted from porcine and bovine, or that is
Pigs and
pancreases
cows, yes.
from pigs and cows.
Right.
And today, biotechnology enables us to actually clone the human gene that codes for insulin, and using a plug and play technique, we can actually insert this gene into, in our case, a yeast, and the yeast produces human insulin.
So is what you're doing now, is that giving some trouble to the big MNCs who've been dominating this market, because they've been charging very high price? Are you forcing them now to rationalize their prices a bit?
Well, as a preemptive measure, actually, they have dropped prices.
Right.
And of course, I don't think we will use only price as a differentiator to compete with them. But certainly we will compete with them globally. I mean, that's what our aspiration is.
So you actually want to go and fight for the international marketplace.
Yeah, because there's a huge market. I mean,
And you don't have a patent issue here.
no, we have our own patents
You have your
on
own patents.
on this technology.
Right.
As a molecule, it's off patent, but there are
Right.
some process
So
patents.
among private companies in India, you must have the among the largest numbers of patents now.
Well, I guess Ranbaxy, Reddy's, and then Biocon.
Right.
So yes, we
but,
have.
But you are a pure biotechnology company. The others
Yeah.
are more
Pharmaceutical.
pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah.
So when this new insulin comes up, what does it do to the size and to the scale of your business?
We are very excited with the insulin opportunity because, as I mentioned, it's not just a domestic opportunity, which itself is a large opportunity because the current size of the insulin market is not that huge. It's about 200 crores. But I believe that this is a market that can be expanded to at least 1,000
But
crores.
Kiran, do you have the scale to compete internationally? I mean, this plant is nice, but this doesn't quite, I don't know much about biotechnology, maybe plants look small. But don't you think you need something bigger turnover, bigger volumes to compete with Eli Lilly and the rest?
Well, you're absolutely right, and that's what we're doing. We're setting up a 1 million liter fermentation facility 2 kilometers in another industrial estate.
I see.
And I think that will be the largest fermentation facility of its kind in Asia.
Not
And
of
it
Asia.
certainly gives us a very large scale on which to compete globally.
So how do these
Production.
companies look at you? Are they envious of you? Are they worried about you? Or
I
do they
think-
hate you? Do they love
Well,
you?
I certainly believe
Or do
that
they want to acquire you?
I'm sure a bit of everything.
Right.
But as far as we are concerned, I think we look at this as a global opportunity for partnering with large companies,
Right.
for getting into global markets in a very confident and aggressive manner.
Right.
And I think the important thing is not just building such facilities, but having the ability to conform to the highest of international standards, which is what we've done. You know, in statins, we have conformed to US FDA standards, and that's been
But that's
very important.
that's a new difference in this era of globalization. Indian companies now have to conform to international standards, also of hygiene and
It's not
cleanliness.
just hygiene, it's your systems, you know.
Right.
How trackable are your systems? How validated are your systems? These
Right.
are the kind of issues.
And that's why, I noticed that in your plants you're very careful with, not allowing any contamination. And
That's absolutely critical.
Kiran, it must have been hard work building this huge plant, but should be a nice feeling. You're soon going to be called the richest woman in India.
Well, that's something which I'm not very pleased about being called. I think it's more important for me to have created a very valuable organization. I think that's what drives me really, you
Right.
know. And I think it's the opportunity that this company has provided to, thousands of scientists. And I think that's very
this is
exciting.
wealth you've created. You did not inherit it.
Yeah.
Nobody gifted it to you.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's what is exciting, that companies like Biocon, Infosys have all been created by people who are ordinary people with very meager resources. you
People
know?
who don't come from traditional business families
Absolutely. I mean, I remember the good old days, you know.
with nothing inherited except enterprise, is it?
Yes, just
It's
a dream and
sense of innovation.
yes, and a sense of innovation and a sense and a passion to make a difference. You know, I'm a very proud Indian, and I've always wanted to create a world-class company, which the country can be proud of, apart from
Right.
myself.
Right.
You know, and it's really a great
And
feeling.
actually, it's companies like this that are adding to this feel-good factor, or this this spirit somehow that Indians can do it,
Yes.
and also Indians are perhaps doing it now.
And I think that's what it's about. You know, all these years, I think in India we had that feeling that you had to have inherited wealth.
Right.
In order to create large companies.
Right.
And today it's, a common man, just if you have that sort of spirit and that,
Are you sharing some of your wealth with people who work with you?
of course,
Like IT? I mean,
Absolutely,
To that
you know.
extent, is BT like IT?
absolutely, it is a very knowledge-driven business. We all recognize it's a people's business, a people-driven business. And at Biocon, 15% of the stock is owned by employees.
15% of his stock must be worth quite a bit now, isn't it?
I hope so.
You haven't actually gone through a formal valuation exercise.
No, we will be going through all that process in the next few months.
Kiran, tell me something about when you started and what got you into biotechnology. I believe you trained to be a brew master.
Yes, I trained to be a brewmaster. I could not find myself a job as a brewmaster, and that's what basically then got me in a very accidental manner into this setting up
and like
Biocon.
many of us in our generation, you set out to be a doctor.
You're right. I mean, I got rejected by medical school. That's what made me take up biology instead. And then, of course, that led to my specializing in brewing.
Right.
And once I got even rejected as a brewmaster, I turned to biotechnology.
But why did you get rejected as a brewmaster? That should be an interesting business.
Well, that was a very gender-related issue. I think employers were very hesitant to give me employment, thinking that I will not be able to deal with certain issues such as labor relations and things like that. I never thought they were right, but then, those were certain issues I had to come to terms with.
And among employers, prospective employers you tried was the father of one of your closest friends, Vijay Mallya's father.
Yes, I think
Who
Vijay.
ran India's biggest breweries, I suspect.
Yes, I think Vijay has much more confidence in me than his father had in me.